which is really awesome. Two of them unfortunately couldn't make it here today. The weather has caused some problems, but we do have Representative Joseph McKenna, who has been, as I said, behind this bill and really pushing for the rare disease cause. So he's here to share a little bit why he is behind it and any of the updates on the bill so far.
Thank you very much. And as Julie mentioned, unfortunately, Senator Feeney, who's been a steadfast advocate for us in the Senate, couldn't be here with the weather. And Rep. Hannah Kane, who is as strong an advocate and supporter behind this bill as anyone you'll meet, was tied up. Her daughter had a 2-hour delay in school, and she had other obligations. But despite the weather, I'm in a really good mood because we do have some fantastic updates for you. But before I get to that, I want to very briefly share how I got involved in this bill. And for me, I have a family history with hemophilia, pretty extensive family history with hemophilia. My great-grandmother was a carrier, so then my grandmother was a carrier. My father had hemophilia. His 2 sisters were carriers, so I have 2 cousins with hemophilia. And now, out in Wisconsin, my sister's son, who's 16 months old, has hemophilia. So I have hemophilia running pretty extensively through my family. And I've seen the struggles that living with hemophilia can be. From when I was a kid growing up, watching my dad walk around like the Tin Man because he'd had joint bleeds his whole life and his joints didn't work properly, to my cousins who have had ankles fused and things like that. And now I've seen the advancement with my nephew, who's being treated prophylactically and is expected to live a normal life. And that's the advancement that we have in research and technology and treatment. I was actually just talking to my brother-in-law last night, and he was telling me a funny story. My nephew had his first bleed earlier this week. He split his lip and his mouth bled for 2 days straight. Because if you're not familiar with hemophilia, it's the absence of the clotting protein in your blood that clots your blood. So he had a 2-day bleed. And the funny thing he was telling me is my nephew has a twin sister, and at one point, being a 15-month-old, he bit his sister on the arm and left a perfect bloody mouth mark on her arm. And he said it looked like a shark had taken a bite out of her arm. And I see that as, you find the irony, the twisted irony and the humor in rare diseases, and I think that anyone living with a rare disease can relate to that. You get beat down by it so much that if you don't find humor in little things like a bloody bite mark on a 15-month-old arm, you have to find some way to move forward. So that's why I got involved in the Rare Disease Advisory Council bill, given my family history. And I will point out, while all rare diseases are equal, hemophilia is known as the royal's disease because it was passed down through many generations of the royal family in Spain and Russia and Portugal and other European countries. So while we're all equal, hemophilia is the royal's disease. So I don't know what that says. But in any case, I'm excited because we've been seeing some really great progress in the Rare Disease Advisory Council. And as Dr. Corson perfectly put it, some of the things that those with rare disease struggle with is lack of knowledge, educating teachers and educating your own physicians and doctors about what your disease is and what treatments are. Sense of loneliness, not having a support group that understands what you're going through. And for each individual family, that struggle is real, but with 7,000 rare diseases in all of those families, together that's a pretty large and pretty powerful group of individuals and advocates. So this Rare Disease Advisory Council tries to bring those groups and support structures together. And especially here in Massachusetts, where we have some of the leading medical institutions and colleges and an absolutely cutting-edge bio-research sector and biopharma sector, there's no reason why we shouldn't be leading the country as far as treating and supporting the rare disease community, and that's what this bill seeks to do. So as an update, this bill was in the Committee on Public Health, I believe, and end of December it was ruled favorably out of that committee, and it was sent to the Committee on Healthcare Financing. Last week, Representative Kane and I were at an event Mass Bio held in Boston, and she was able to have a conversation with Bob Coughlin, who's the head of Mass Bio and a former state rep, as well as with Ron Mariano, who's the majority leader in the House. And if you know anything about how legislation moves in the House, you need support and buy-in from leadership. And after sharing the story of this bill, Ron Mariano, and I followed up and had a conversation with him yesterday while we were here, he said, I can't believe we don't have this in Massachusetts. Given what we have, the supports that we have, he said, I can't believe we don't have this in Massachusetts. So he looked through the bill and said, I want to tweak this and that, very, very minor tweaks, and he said, this will pass, this will move forward. Now I can't speak for him, but this is just the message he said. And so with his support, he said, get me a draft next week. We'll tweak some language, and by Rare Disease Day, which is February 28th, Rep. Kane and I will be speaking at Mass Bio's event on February 28th, and he said we expect to have this pulled out favorably from the Committee on Healthcare Financing before Rare Disease Day at the end of this month. So to have a bill that moves that quickly through multiple committees is really a sign that leadership understands the importance of this bill and is committed to making sure that it moves forward out of the committee process and to the general body of the House and the Senate for votes. Now that's far from a guarantee that it will pass. We still need to continue to advocate and to continue to get support. But to have leadership buy-in and to have essentially a roadmap of getting out of the Committee on Healthcare Financing is a huge step forward. So we're very happy to share that news and here to continue to ask your support within the committee and all of the legislatures. Thank you.